beautiful. Awesome to see a team work together. Really enjoyed it.
This is one of the nicest races ever. It is perfect organized and had a perfect group.
There's a lot of banter, a lot of fun, everyone has a good time, and then of course the support on the road. The nature of this is you have a lot of support, a lot of people cheering you on. It really is a fun day out.
Falling in love with these mountains. Teamwork vibe, awesome.
Well, as you can see, the excitement is building before the start of the PPA Double Century in just a few days' time. Dave and myself have got our helmets on. That's how ready we are. I can say that we're ready in terms of our helmets, but the nerves are starting to jangle already as we head towards this epic race on Saturday. And for all of you who are joining us on our broadcast today, we're going to be running through some of the last minute details. But before that, we're going to just have a moment to appreciate Dave Belair's. They're one of the directors from the Cape Town Cycle Tour Trust, who's got a very special mask on, and he's not going to wear it for the entire broadcast today because obviously we won't be able to hear him, but a very special one with bicycles on it. Dave, where did you get that? That is a thing of beauty.
What can I tell you? It's about making me go faster on the day, Mike. And I think on that note, let me say how important it is that we all wear masks on the day of the PPA Double Century. I know it's a controversial topic amongst certain people out there, but as far as the event is concerned, it is compulsory. It's absolutely and 100% mandatory that you have your mask with you and that you wear your mask in public places. Obviously, when you're racing and riding, that's a different story. But when you're mingling amongst the rest of the participants in the start area, it's going to be mandatory.
So also Mike, we've got our race directors along with us, Mike Simpson, who's been obviously very hard at work over the last couple of days, making sure all the last minute bits and pieces are happening. Mike, just to make sure you switch your microphone now, because I think you're muted at the moment. But tell us about the sort of build up to this. It's a very unusual event because of all the logistics that need to go into it. Are we on track to start on schedule on Saturday?
Yes, thanks, Mike. Hi there, everybody. We're definitely on track. We have our logistics teams moving into site from tomorrow, and we start disseminating all of the equipment out there that you're going to be using on the route. So yeah, the butterflies are definitely hitting the tummies now.
And you're not even riding, you're just organizing the event. Well, not just organizing the event.
I must say at this juncture, Mike, it's actually fascinating because the poor logistics team are moving into Swellendam tomorrow, where they're staying in tents for 3 days, and it's pouring with rain. It's absolutely and utterly bucketing down with rain for 2 days. And then, of course, it clears up and we go into what weatherman Mike Finch will talk about a little bit later. So I think from all of us cyclists and from the trust and from the board of PPA, Mike, to you and the team that are going to be actually doing all the hard work on the day, we wish you everything the best. I think you guys have put in a huge amount of work. I mean, testimony to the fact that here I am sitting at home talking to you, Mike. You can see that Mike Simpson is sitting in the office still with his team working hard. So they have really put some huge effort in under some trying circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. I think for all of those that are participating on Saturday, just
you've been very modest, Dave.
Raise your glass a few times for all the organizers, because I know you guys do a fantastic job, Mike.
Okay, Mike, I think I'm going to launch into it.
Go for it. Okay, I think we've got enough people joined. We've got just on 50 people joining us at the moment. Don't forget, if you if you know people who aren't able to join us for our live broadcast today, you can ask questions, of course. We will get to as many as we can before 7 o'clock this evening. And then this will obviously sit on the Double Century site, so you can watch it at any time over the next couple of days. And we encourage those, particularly those who are captains and team managers and that sort of thing, to look at this broadcast so we can know exactly what to do with. So Dave, over to you.
All right, I think by way of a quick introduction, this is one of the first major events that's going to be happening in the Western Cape. We've had it approved for a phased set of events. We're hosting 3 or 4 events of a certain limited number of people per event, which is what's happening on Sunday. Obviously, we then collate the results into one full set of results at the end. But I think it's very important that people understand that we're going to be under the microscope. And it's vitally important that everybody, whether you're driving the team support car or whether you're riding in the event, that you take this very seriously. We have a delegation coming up from the city of Cape Town to see how things go. Obviously, we're working very hard at getting the Cape Town Cycle Tour back on and running for next year. And to that end, we're using the DC will be used as a showcase for that, just to show that we are in a position, both as organizers and participants, to behave responsibly, act responsibly, and organize responsibly. So we're asking everybody to play their part in making sure that this event is run responsibly, that it runs off safely and securely, and that we're able to then get more events onto the calendar. I think that having been said, here's a key piece of advice. You're going up as a group of 10 with a driver and possibly one support crew in the team vehicle. I would treat your team and your crew as a bubble. So you're going up, you're going to be staying at guest houses, you're going to be staying together, you're going to be riding together, you're going to be in feed zones together. Work yourselves as a bubble. And that way we'll minimize any possible transmission of any kind of viruses during the course of the week, or the weekend, sorry. So let's take you through the process. You're going to arrive in Swellendam. You would have collected your numbers. Obviously, at the last briefing, we gave you where the registrations are. They are underway. And we've had nearly 1/3 of the teams have already registered at the registration we had at the offices in Rondebosch today. So we're looking forward to seeing the team captains collecting their numbers over the next 3 days. Tomorrow, Chris Willemse, and then on Friday at the showgrounds in Swellendam. When the teams arrive, you've been given a window in which to arrive. And that window is vitally important. We don't want people congregating in the approach to the Swellendam showgrounds. So your window is no earlier than 20 minutes before your start time and no later than 10 minutes before your start time. Arrive as a group, plan to meet off-site somewhere, ride down on your bikes. If you've come in your cars, park in the parking area, remain in your car until it's your allotted start time to head down to the start. That's absolutely vital. When you get to the start area, there will be a screening process that you will go through before you're allowed onto the field. Your temperature will be checked, and provided that you are within the temperature range, you will be allowed onto the field with your team members. Anybody whose temperature exceeds that the medics deem to be in accordance with the COVID regulations will be sent off to a medical tent on one side, and a process will then follow. Supposing that you are found to be okay to participate, you'll then be allowed onto the field. Alternatively, you will be isolated, and there will be medical personnel that will follow through on a process laid out by the COVID regulations. On the field, you'll be directed into your start chutes, and in your start chutes, there will be markings on the ground which will allow you to line up in what we term a socially distanced and responsibly distanced manner. Please, throughout this entire process, it is absolutely vital that you keep your mask on. You keep your mask on, you'll be lined up, you'll be then directed up to the start line, and with 1 minute to go, you will be allowed to remove your mask and put it into your back pocket. So 1 minute before your actual start, you'll be allowed to remove that mask, place it in your back pocket, and then you're on your way to 200 Ks. Your first water point that you will come across will be at the top of Trudeau Pass. Now remember, as we explained in the first webinar, you will not be able to pour yourself water. There's water and Coke available at these water stations. The water station staff will be wearing masks. They'll be behind the tables. You will hold your bottle out, and they will decant into your containers the either water or Coke that you require. We would advise you please to put your mask on when you get into these areas for the safety of the staff at the station and for other riders that may have stopped at those water stations. Your next water station will be at the top of Op the Trudeau. Once again, it's not the fully fledged feed zone we had there before. It simply is a water station that'll be on the left-hand side of the road, probably 20 meters off the actual R62 itself. And again, water and Coke, same principle applies. The staff will decant water into your bottles. From there, you're going to be heading through to Montague and through the neutral zone. And we've been through that neutral zone. Remember, all of this is on the website. through the neutral zone, and then you're going to get to the first team, and this is going to meet your support vehicle. So Mike, I'm going to share the screen now, and I'm going to talk you through this particular, I hope it's coming up. Nope. Let's just share correctly, share screen, and this is the one we want here. Here we are. We don't need to go through my emails. That's for certain sure. All right. So this is the team support zone where you will meet your teams for the first time. Now, the teams, are we seeing that on screen?
No, not yet, Dave. You have to just change that up a bit.
All right, so giving it a moment to...
These things work incredibly well when we're rehearsing, but never work very well when we do it live. Hopefully that's not the case for the DC on Saturday.
No, definitely not. All right, let me stop sharing, Mike, and then I'm going to start sharing again. All we have is a black screen.
We do.
There we are.
There we go.
Now it comes. Oh dear. Let me close that again. We'll give one more bash. There we go. Share. There we go. Right, this is the team support zone in Ashton. Now, on the right-hand side of the picture is where you will, the team support vehicles will enter that team support zone, as well as the cyclists themselves. Now, we're encouraging the team support drivers to leave Swellendam, follow the designated route that is in the team instructions that has been sent to everybody and is on the website, and get into the team support zone as early as possible. Now, we understand that for some of you, that's going to mean a fairly lengthy wait, especially for the teams that are leaving later in the day. But we want to try and minimize the amount of interaction between cars and cyclists in that team zone. So the earlier you can get in and get parked, get yourself sorted, take a good book, relax in the car and wait for your team to come through. Now, you'll notice that the faster teams are zoned in zone 4, which is at the very end of the team support zone. So you'll come in over the railway line into Zandvliet Road, which is where the purple section is. You'll drive all the way through, and there will be boards at the sign. There are 4 boards that will indicate the zone that you're entering. Once you get into that zone, proceed team 1 to the very end, and so on. You'll have about 20 meters per team to park your car and have a space that your riders will be able to put their bikes down and then feed from the vehicle. Now, we're asking each of the team vehicles to make sure that they park responsibly. There's more than sufficient space for all the vehicles in each of the zones, and to make sure that you give enough space between the vehicles so that the teams can distance themselves when they get in. Keep your setup to a minimum. I mentioned this in the first webinar, and the importance of this is that when the team leaves, you want to be able to leave with the team and follow your team out. So you don't want to be laying out 5 or 6 or 7 cool boxes on the road. You want to have them in your vehicle where people can draw their water bottles, get their water. Remember, you've only got 15 minutes, so it's going to be a fairly quick interaction with your team as they restock and replenish, and then they head out. Now, we'll get to the weather a little bit later, but suffice it to say that teams, please make sure you stock up with ice and water, sufficient for the second half of the journey. It's going to be hot. It's going to be very hot. And there's nothing nicer than having really ice-cold cool drinks and ice-cold water for the team when they get into their various different zones to be able to be supported. So ice and water is a big thing. Remember, this year, you will need to secure your ice either in Swellendam before you come up or in Ashton on the way through. My advice would be to get it in Swellendam before you leave Swellendam. To that end, and we'll highlight it again later, but the spa will be open until late on Friday night and is opening at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. That's the spa in the center of Swellendam. Right, so that's the team support zone. Again, I stress faster teams will go all the way through, and then the teams that have been seated will slot in behind. If you look at the next slide.
Dave, if I may come in at this point and just highlight the fact that there are only 2 toilet banks in this area this time around. You will, as you enter the zone, there will be a toilet bank. And as you leave the zone, there will be a toilet bank. So that's something just worth noticing.
Yeah, I think, Mike, you're absolutely right. Let me put that up there. You'll notice at the very beginning of the purple strip, you'll see the toilet sign there. And at the very end, the toilet sign there. So if you need to use the ablutions, use them on your way in or on your way out. All right. Then, as I said, these are the signs. So drivers, these are the signs you will see. So you've ridden through. Teams 1 to 124 will ride all the way through until they see zone 4 and then position themselves in zone 4. Likewise, zone 3 for drivers from teams 131 to 254, and then teams 261 to 414 and to zone 2, and then the more social teams like myself in zone 1, which is teams 421 to teams 444. So those are the signs that you will see going in. Okay, so let's get to the rules and regulations relating to what your vehicle can and can't do once it's out on the road. So you've now moved out of the Ashton feed zone, you're onto the R62 and you're heading towards Robertson. This is a public road, it's open, and there will be a lot of traffic coming through from the Robertson side. There'll be large trucks that are going to be parked waiting to get through the Kochmanskloof, which is closed, and you need to be aware of all of this. You'll follow your team at a distance of between 50 and 100 meters. So keep the distance between yourself and the team 50 and 100 meters, and be very aware of teams that are coming up behind you. Now, the reason you leave the gap is to allow a team that's coming past to pass your vehicle, move over onto the hard left, and if necessary, you can pull over to the side of the road to allow a team that's coming through to pass your vehicle and allow their team support vehicle to pass yours. Allow them to get past your team that is riding before you move back in behind your team to follow them. Now, we anticipate that there's not going to be a lot of overtaking because the teams should have distanced themselves on the road by the time they've got to Bonneville. But please be very vigilant, be aware of other teams coming up behind you and other team support vehicles. Now, very important, there are only 2 places that you may stop under normal circumstances to feed your team. The one is where you met them in Ashton. The other is the Bonneville feed zone, which is very clearly marked just before you get to Bonneville Cellar. It was the same feed zone that there was last year. And that is where you will be able to stop and feed your team for the second time, where they can replenish their food and restock their water bottles. There is a water station for the cyclists at the Rooibrug. So cyclists will be able to fill their water bottles there. We prefer team vehicles to keep moving. Cyclists can get a quick refill, but they can refuel with food and cold drinks at their vehicle at Bonneville. This is vitally important. The only other time a vehicle may stop on the route between Ashton and Bonneville and between Bonneville and the finish is if there is some kind of emergency, whether it's a medical emergency for one of your teammates or whether it's a mechanical emergency that you need to repair one of the bicycles and get them back on the road. I would also encourage the team members that are falling off their teams not be left out for the sweep, but are actually swept by their own team vehicles, put in the vehicles, radioed in so that we know that they've withdrawn and that they are taken back in their team support vehicles. So that is very important. Please remember that stopping on the route is not permitted unless in the case of an emergency, and again, other than the Bonneville feed station, team support zone, sorry. Mike, is anything else you want to add on that?
Well, I think it's good to remind everybody about the chips, because that's the one thing I always forget. And I wanted to know, is there any sort of tip that you would give people to remember their timing chip? Because I think in our team, pretty much half the people that arrive have forgotten their chip. And if you do, what happens?
Okay, so we'll get to the key things to bring, but let's nail that one quickly. So yes, make sure your timing chip is either affixed to your bicycle on its bracket, or stick in your back pocket of your cycling jersey to make sure that you put it onto your shoe or wherever it is you're going to be wearing it. Michael can talk to the ideal position for that timing chip, because there is an ideal position for the timing chip, and that's on the front fork on the bracket. If you've forgotten your chip, chips will be available at the start line from the Race Tech staff. please remember to wear your mask when approaching those staff up at the race line to get yourself a chip before you start. Now, chips are compulsory, and it isn't only about the timing of the event. It's about Mike and his team being able to monitor how many people are on the route at any one time. And that's critical in managing the route and managing the resource that we have on the route, and being able to report to the authorities. And we also need to know who's finished and who hasn't finished. So please make sure that you do have your chip with you. Mike, so we've dealt with the water points and the route. I'm going to hand over to Mike Simpson to take the cyclists through what they can expect at the finish and what they should be doing at the finish.
Yes, so by the time, thank you, Dave. By the time you've gotten to the finish line, you would have passed the Drew refreshment station, where there will be some more Coke and refreshments there. And then there'll be another little water point available for just before the finish line. Once you cross the finish line, the procedure will be as follows. You will be handed your finisher's medal, and then at a separate space, you will be able to take a photograph with action photo as a team in a socially distanced way. And then you will be able to present your team to the race table nearby, where you will be able to get your Charles Milner medal if all 10 team members have passed across the line. We are asking all the teams to then from there to disperse that area as soon as possible, not to socialize in that area. We are also discouraging any vehicles or team support vehicles from coming too close to that finish line area. So from there, we would like to see the teams dispersing to either their guest houses or their cars.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Just going back to that Drew water station, what I would encourage vehicles to do, if your team is going to stop to replenish water and Coke at the Drew water point, the cars would be advised to move past the Drew water station and move over to the left-hand side post the water station, so that the riders can refill at the water station, mount their bikes, get back on the road, and then you can fall in behind them once they come past you. There's plenty of room after the Drew water point, and it just keeps the area clean for the cyclists to be able to refill water bottles, etc.
And Dave, just a couple of questions you've had. Where do people find those start times if they don't know their team start time?
Right, so that's a good question, Mike. I'll come back to the finish area. So let me share screen again, and I'll show you exactly where you can find your start times. So coming up on the screen now is our website. And if you go to the home page, which is the Double Century's homepage, I do love technology when it's slow. And okay, and the picture doesn't want to come up. But so let's stop sharing it.
No,
if you go to the,
we can see it. We can see it.
Sorry about that, folks. Technology is slow when you don't want it to be slow. So let's share it again. But if you go to the Double Century's homepage, on the homepage there's a big yellow button on the right-hand side, and that will be able to show you your start time. Click on that and you'll see the start times of your teams. So remember, you've now finished. You're at the top. You're getting your photograph, your medal. You then disperse. Your team support vehicle would have headed down into the Swellendam showgrounds, where they will enter the showgrounds through the main entrance, and they will collect your bri pack and your 11 cans of Coca-Cola, compliments of Peninsula Beverages. So the bri packs, compliments of our friends at Food Lovers Market, and you'll be able to collect those. Only the team support vehicle may go down. The teams will then head off and meet their team support vehicle at a pre-arranged location. Please stay away from the showgrounds. We're not permitting people back onto the showgrounds other than that team vehicle to be able to collect the bri pack that is on offer to you.
As you can see, lots of the information is on the site there, Dave. You were going to talk about the things, the vital things not to forget.
Right. So I think probably the most important and often forgotten is the timing chip. Please don't forget your timing chip. You won't be able to start without one. We won't let you start without one. We need to be able to know who's on the road. It is a matter of safety. Your helmet, that goes without saying. Your mask, you won't be allowed onto the premises. You won't be allowed on the field without your mask on. And please, folks, keep that mask on when you're on the field. We are, as I've mentioned, we're going to be under scrutiny, and we want to make sure that we are acting responsibly. Again, that mask can come off 1 minute beforehand. And then something that's often forgotten certainly in my team over the years, is your shoes. Don't forget your shoes, folks. Vitally important. And then make sure you have sufficient hydration. I know that a lot of the people I'm riding with are going to be wearing water packs on their back. It is going to be an exceptionally hot day. And we want you to make sure you are sufficiently hydrated. I know Mike and his team will have measures in place if the temperatures are extremely hot, and that's what we're anticipating. But their water points are there, and there will be sufficient water at those water points for you to be able to rehydrate, as well as your support vehicle. And again, I'm going to say this, and I've said it twice already, make sure there's plenty of ice in those vehicles. On that note, the Wimpy in Swellendam will be opening at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning. So you'll be able to pop up there and get some coffee. If you're a support team driver and you're going to be heading through to Ashton, get some coffee and maybe a brekkie to take away, and you can take that with you. The spa in Swellendam will be open till 9 p.m. on Friday night and will open at 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. So you'll be able to stock up with any additional ice or water or grub that you need from the spa. And then obviously from our perspective as an event organizer, this is a huge boost to the Swellendam community. And we're encouraging you wherever possible to support local businesses, local restaurants. There's a fantastic new brewing facility that's opened, and you'll get more details of that later in the week. We'll be emailing you, Swellen Brew. And there's a locally made gin in Swellendam now, as there is in just about every other town in South Africa. But let's support the local enterprise. There's some wonderful people there. It's been a really tough time for everybody, and let's go and make a difference in Swellendam. Mike, I'm going to hand over to you as weatherman Mike Finch to give us a little update on what you're seeing on the weather front.
Well, I don't have a weather map to show you behind me. I wish I did, and I wish I was a very good weather person. But I've had a look at a couple of the weather reports, and it is going to be warm, as Dave has said. It's going to be around about 24 degrees early in the morning, but it gets to 35 real feel and from about 1 o'clock onwards. And then it gets rapidly sort of cooler towards the afternoon. But for the most of the teams that are out there, it is going to be a fairly hot day, and hydration is going to be critical. On the wind front, the wind is not too bad, and I've chatted to Dave a little bit about, because he knows this really well, to say, is there going to be a tailwind at any point? And he promises there'll be a tailwind over the bit from Robertson down towards the Three Sisters. So I'm hoping that's going to be true, but it shouldn't be too windy out there, and I guess I'd rather have no wind than a big headwind and a massive tailwind at any point. But it is going to be warm. It's going to be a bit of cloud cover. There's a slight chance of rain, but I don't think it's going to really materialize into anything significant. So that's the weather report. And I just wanted to add, Dave, just one other little point to remember about being on that start line. And I think you see it sometimes with a lot of riders who are new to the sport and potentially taking this on. When you take your bike off your bike rack, make sure that it's all working properly. Make sure the brake calipers are on the bike. Make sure that the wheel is put in properly, the gears work. Because often when you've been driving it to Swellendam, some things rattle loose and they don't work. So you want to be on that start line with a bike that you know is working, and it's just a case of kind of riding it around, maybe around the block on the day before to make sure it's all working. Because that first bit, once you get out of Swellendam, is a fairly fast section down towards the turn-off towards Trudeau's Pass, and you want to make sure your bike is in very good working order and it doesn't have any difficulties there. So that's the bit from my side.
All right, so just back to the weather, probably, Mike. I'm the last person that should ever talk about weather, because I was the guy that before the 2017 cycle tour predicted that the weather was going to be fairly good that Saturday. There might be a light breeze, and you know what happened there, don't you? So I'm very loath to speak about the weather. However, we do know it's going to be hot, so you do need to be careful out there. Make sure you have sun protection. Make sure you put it on in the morning. It's something a lot of riders forget. It's early morning, it's dark, and the last thing you're thinking about is sun cream. So make sure you've got sunblock. As I was reminded by our race director, not suntan lotion. You're going to need sunblock. You're going to be out there a long time. Well, certainly some of us can be out a long time. And make sure that you carry some with you to be able to reapply the day. Sufficient, and make sure that you're taking enough electrolyte. My reading of the weather currently is that there's mild wind for the first half of the event. Unfortunately, that is on the wind then swings into a southwest, And my reading of that southwester with the rain that's coming in on the following day, on a Sunday, is that that's probably a berg wind that you're going to see coming through. So it's going to be a dry, hot wind on your side. Marginally from behind, but mostly on your side as you head back all the way from Robertson to Swellendam. Occasionally it'll get you on the tail, but on your right-hand side. And if I've called it wrong, you need to speak to Mike Finch because he's officially the weatherman. Mike, is there anything else, Mike Simpson, from your side that you want to add before I thank our sponsors and just highlight some of the things they're doing?
Thanks, Dave. Well, all I can say is to all the riders and teams out there that we are ready for you. Swellendam is ready for you. Our route is ready for you. So please just be safe and be responsible and try and follow as much of the tips and advice that we've given you. Thank you.
Right, from my side, to Mike and his team, we wish them all the very best. They've, as I said, they've put in a huge amount of work to get this across the line. And it's now over to you as the participants to make sure that you share the love with them and give them an event that they can hold up to the city and to the country and say we are able to do it despite the fact that we're in this dreadful situation that we're in. So from us at the events office to PPA for getting behind this event and allowing us to actually host it, the Cycle Tour trustees, huge thank you. To Food Lovers Market, who've come on at their store after we told you that you weren't going to be getting any food offering and you weren't going to be any guests at all. Food Lovers have come on. You're getting a wonderful braai pack with all kinds of snacks. Please enjoy that and tell your stories with a cold beer around the fire that evening at your B&B. To Breitling, who are timing partners, and despite the fact that they can't be here, are going to be running. And if you know anybody that didn't manage to get into the Double Century and is going to be staying at home and riding around the roads of wherever they live, Breitling are running an online competition where they're raising money for Kubeka, and they're going to be riding all over the world. It's a Strava event, and you'll be able to post that. You can find all that information on our Instagram and Facebook page. Breitling are the official timing partner of the PPA Double Century. To NAMED and to domains.co.za, we told you you weren't getting a goodie bag with anything in. Well, you did. You got a goodie bag with some NAMED products, and a huge thank you to them, as well as 10 water bottles, one for each of your riders, compliments of domains.co.za. Those are water bottles that were produced for the Cape Town Cycle Tour, and they very kindly donated them and allowed them to be used for the PPA Double Century. So to Domains, a huge, huge thank you. And then lastly to the Swellendam municipality, who have really come to the party. They've been absolutely outstanding in ensuring that we were able to get lengthy road closures through places like the Koopmanskloof, and have assisted us with support through their local Fietsry Club, their local Rotary Club. The town really has come out and is looking forward to welcoming you all there. So guys, my last appeal to you is please wear your mask. Please behave responsibly, and we look forward to seeing you in Swellendam this Friday and Saturday morning.
Thanks very much, Dave and Mike, and good luck to all of our participants on Saturday. Don't forget the weather is going to be warm. We've reiterated that a couple of times already in this broadcast, and we look forward to seeing everybody on the route out there. Drive safely to Swellendam. Most importantly, we want to make sure everybody gets there nice and safely and have a great ride. And a massive thank you to everybody at the Cape Town Cycle Tour Trust who've done such amazing work over the last couple of months to make this event happen in very difficult times. From us, it's goodbye and good luck for Saturday.
Teamwork, A plus for our guys.
Yeah, we're a team and we're finishing as a team.
Look, our team stays together, you know, all 12 of us are going to cross the line together.
I've got a super group. They're pulling me through. 30 Ks were really, really tough, but with a good team behind you, get through it.
That's what it's about, teamwork.